Sorry to come in between you all and lunch, but we'll try to keep it quick. And please feel free to ask questions. I'm generally very excited to have these conversations with all of you, especially at a time where the whole industry is transforming, procurement is transforming, supply chains are transforming. We wanted to provide some of our perspective and what is changing really, as a lot of innovation is coming today in the market. Some of you would have attended maybe one of my past sessions where we started with an agent introducing myself. So we are not going to do the same agent introducing myself this time, because we are talking about how we are moving away from building agents to actually extracting value. So we have a quick demo of what
Introducing GEP Key,
Key,
leading the way with agentic AI to deliver real value for procurement and supply chain teams. In sourcing, GEP Key agents evaluate and assess supplier bids and offers faster, smarter, and with greater accuracy than ever before. In contract management, agents summarize complex documents, identify risks, and help build the best contracts, ensuring compliance and saving time. In purchasing, GEP Key guides buyers to the right items, from the right sources, at the right price, every time. And that's just the beginning. From planning to supplier management, we've identified scores of use cases where GEP Key agents are ready to assist. And using GEP Key Studio, you will be empowered to create your own agents, working with your data from all your systems. GEP Key, the future of agentic AI for procurement and supply chain is here.
Okay, so that's a quick introduction about our software. I'll also introduce myself. My name is Vasant Mugada. Been with GEP for over 15 years now, and I'm a vice president with the consulting function. Worked with 60 different clients, a lot of Fortune 50, Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies across the globe, predominantly in the procurement transformation, supply chain transformation space. And today I wanted to talk about how last year in 2025 we built like tons and tons of these agents. It could be a negotiation agent, it could be an RFP building agent, it could be an autonomous sourcing automator as an engine, PR to PO validation, so on and so forth. So there are so many use cases. We ourselves have built over 1,000 different agents, which could be point solutions in procurement or in supply chain to help us speed things up. But a lot of cases have come up in the last 1 year when we were interacting with a lot of CXO level folks, is I'm not seeing the value, right? Where is that real value? Are you telling me there is more efficiency? Are you telling me there is more cost takeout? How can I go and promise my CEO, my board members that I'm able to actually improve my EBITDA by a certain percentage, or promise that so much of cost can be taken out as we are deploying these agents. So that's what is this whole presentation about. Quickly about GEP. We are only a procurement and supply chain company. We don't do anything else. We deal with over 550 plus customers globally. 1,000 plus customers, and over $525 billion of spend goes through our systems on an annual basis, and about $3 trillion of spend is going through our spend management tools on an annual basis. So we deal with a lot of data, and when we say it is data, there is AI automatically which comes into picture, because that's the backbone of anything we do in the space of AI. We've been in existence, we were formed in 1999, so 26 years of existence, and present pretty much across the globe. We do all the three aspects, be it the software, be it the strategy consulting arm, or the managed services for a lot of global companies, and very well known by some of the well-known industry researchers like Gartner, Forrester. Like, we are probably the only company which is a leader both in the IT space, in the technology space, as well as services space. So just moving on. So this particular page, we are trying to show how the shift is happening today. War situations, lot of disruptions. We would have seen our suppliers going out of business every now and then, reacting to those situations. Still today, when we were closing a bunch of contracts in the month of December, we saw a number of companies going bust. We don't have an alternative. There's a lot of risk management required to identify quick suppliers, qualify those, especially in direct material space, chemicals, ingredients, food materials, so on and so forth. So there is more and more need for every one of us, all of us, to look at these agentic solutions, because they can bring real-time data and help us forecast how things can be to the best possible way. We know this, 90% of the procurement leaders are already using or planning to use AI or AI-driven solutions. 75% of the leaders are ramping up their AI spending, and 66% of the CPOs are prioritizing AI for smarter decisions. So a quick question to this group over here. We see there are 3 broad phases of an AI evolution, right? The first phase is traditional AI, where we saw a lot of SaaS-based products and solutions. We have generative and agentic AI-based solutions, and then we have self-service, self-organizing systems, which are mostly autonomous in nature. So a quick poll, how many of you think we are in stage 3 from a journey perspective? Anybody? How many of you think we are in stage 2? If you can probably raise your hands. Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. And how many of you think we are in stage 1? I'm assuming the rest of the folks, right? So probably, you all are right. A lot of us are towards the end of phase 1, going towards phase 2. That's how the industry is evolving today. But eventually, when we get into the autonomous setup, where these self-organizing agents will come into picture, where we are talking about, for example, I'll show you a couple of examples where we are managing $1 billion worth of tail spend for direct materials, where these agents, they identify what is the contract end date. They're able to do a couple of negotiations, try to come up with a closure. We'll go through that example. But assume that the entire procurement landscape gets into these agentic flows, where agents are able to identify what are the price forecasts for all my materials, set up contract strategies saying, for these particular materials, I need to extend the contract because the prices are going up. I'll need to go back to the vendors and negotiate, versus renegotiate with vendors, do RFPs, make versus buy analysis. A lot of those will come into picture almost autonomously with human intervention, where we approve those strategies. Once we approve the strategies, the implementation of it will be done by these agents. So those solutions are there, almost ready for all of us to test. So we are getting into, from the generative AI segment to bits and pieces of the autonomous engine. So once we get there, where procurement is mostly run autonomously, then you look at linking procurements and supply chains together. So we look at it from an end-to-end perspective, where supply chains, any shocks, will be able to directly converse with the procurement folks to be able to make those demands, put those demand signals and all. So that's the end state of it as we get into this whole journey of agentic AI. It is already there, and all of us need to get onto this journey. So there are 2 aspects of AI agents which we have here. A lot of us would have already had these AI agentic chatbots. So you upload a bunch of our policies, process documents, RFP packages, and you can converse, what is this particular, if something gets stuck, like there is some validation required, some clarification required from a particular supplier, I can go and check with the chatbot, because it has all my company specific data, and I can converse with it. No need for picking up a phone, pinging somebody on Teams, so on and so forth. It can help us with that. 2, where we are talking about agentic flows. Last year, as I was saying, we built so many agents, but when you really look at efficiency, building those efficiency aspects of it, What we guys from GEP are really doing is speaking to a lot of category managers, buyers, trying to understand what are they doing on a daily basis. What are the 10 things, 15 things which they're doing, and then trying to build agents around them. So basically, we call them as agentic flows, where say a category manager or a buyer needs to pick up the phone, check where the product is, and check at some other plant, is the product available. All these aspects are now getting automated, where I can build agents to really do this task. They can do a call. Agents are able to call people up in a very humanly voice, check with the other plant, check with the supplier where the product is, whether it is stuck, not stuck, so on and so forth, and then proceed forward, right? So these agentic flows are coming into picture. There are over 100 odd examples of these agentic flows which we have. Happy to share some of them with all of you. But yeah, we are getting into those agentic flow space. So these are the three broad buckets where we are talking about discrete agents. These were the examples which I was talking about. Extracting contract metadata, like I have say 500,000, 3,000, 4,000 contracts, and I feel there is a lot of leakage in the contracts, right? So I upload these into the agent, and then it identifies where can I claw back money, where is the money locked. Very easy use case. A lot of us would have used it in 2025, but very simple, straightforward use case for us to extract value. Invoice extraction, contract Q&A, it helps us with redlining contracts, RFX summarizer. There are 20 different RFX RFPs coming in as a part of my bid package. Can I play around with the strategies, right, or award strategies, negotiation strategies, whom to award, whom not to award, so on and so forth. So those are some of these agents. Two, we are talking about defined products, where these very specific use cases around, I've identified some suppliers, look at my past data to see which suppliers can I award, right? So these bring a lot of intelligence into our existing or defined flows. Business support, customer support, or sustainability risk management are some of these examples. To the transformative ones, where we are talking about agentic AI orchestration layer. Here, when we talk about the orchestration layer, you can see about 40 to 50 of these agents running almost autonomously, starting from category strategy development. It could be an IT category strategy, MRO category strategy, logistics category strategy. So there are like about 30, 40 of these agents which just generate category strategies. They develop a strategy calendar saying this is when I need to source these many materials, and these are the projects for this year. There could be an IT hardware RFP in Q1, there could be a software tail RFP in Q2, so on and so forth. So it generates the calendar, and once the calendar gets generated, a human, the category manager, approves them. Once they approve, it is all set to go out into the market, because strategy has the suppliers which I need to invite. It can develop RFP packages, and these agents can send out these RFP packages to suppliers, get the responses. So till they get the response, they keep checking the quality of the response. Those aspects are there. They can build negotiation scripts. Again, they need to be used by humans, but it can tell you where should I go with an e-auction, what type of cost modeling is there for some direct materials. A lot of it, you can assume that this is a whole chain of agents which are running almost autonomously. So these are the transformative examples which are coming our way, and these can combine all of these into one mega agent. So as we really look at the current space of procurement and supply chain across demand, intake, source, contract, and pay, there are so many examples which are there out there in the market, and a lot of us are already using them as a part of our flows today. Okay, so I'll spend maybe a few minutes just to take you through some examples of these agents. So the first one which I was speaking about is a contract analyzer and redlining agent. Very simple agent, about 10 to 12 agents, sub-agents built within it. One part of it is just, it does a basic OCR, any language out there, it can do an OCR, extract metadata terms, what are the payment terms, are there any early payment clauses in it, what are the rebate terms, so on and so forth. So it has about 80 to 85 metadata items which it is able to extract, and then it is able to identify if there are leakages from a contract execution perspective on an ongoing basis, so more about contract compliance. There's one example. This is a should cost modeling agent. I probably spoke about this last year when we built it. Very, very sophisticated should cost modeling agent for a lot of direct materials, indirect materials, even services. What it does is it starts with a value chain analysis. Right? It tries to understand what are the different types of manufacturing practices out there, what are the steps of manufacturing, what is the throughput of each of those machines, whatever could be there for each of the batches, and then it tries to estimate what is the cost of manufacturing process. So that is one step. The second step is it does the BOM. I just upload the specifications, design documents, drawings, whatever I can. It can come up with a BOM of it. And then it is able to combine all of it and tell me for your volume, whatever you may have, this is the pricing. If you increase your volume, reduce your volume, this will be the price. So that's what this can do. It also does some very interesting other things. It has a forecasting engine built into it. It can tell me, should I source this particular material now, or should I wait for 6 months, 1 year to source it again, right? So I can go back to the vendors and tell them to extend my current price if the prices are going up. It can create RFP packages. So a lot of variants, lot of use cases of this single should cost model. Now this is again a single agent, right? Like it can have multiple things within it, but this is what we spent a lot of time correcting, fine tuning over the course of last year. The use cases of it are very interesting, right? So this is a design to value agent. By this, what I mean is, say there is a particular corrugated box which I'm using. There are 2 use cases to this. Based on my weight profile of the materials which I'm shipping, it can help me break the specification down and tell me for my materials what is the right type of corrugated box which I should be using. So I can play around with the specs in real time, because previously this used to be with engineers, R&D, to be able to try test this out. Today, procurement people have that power in their hands to be able to try this out, test it out, saying, instead of beef flute, can we try something else? Can we try some other grade of paper in this? So this is a very interesting use case of that should cost model that is centered to this, which helps in multiple scenario modeling. Another use case is where it's a simple spec rationalization. Like I look at my global portfolio of all my corrugated boxes. I have about 45, 50 specifications. Based on my weight profile within my portfolio, it can recommend go to these 3, 4 of boxes, and that saves you about 35, 40% of cost. Like these are transformative. Again, a lot of human work was required in the past. Now we can try these out, we can play around with these. And you can just imagine, right? Like I'm just talking about corrugated boxes, but go into direct materials, chemicals, automotive spare parts, you name them. There are so many use cases out there in the market. Another use case is autonomous sourcing. This is price forecasting actually. Okay, so this is one subversion of this, where a lot of category managers and buyers today are dealing with price forecasting, right? I need to run this price forecast at the beginning of the year so that the numbers roll up into my CFO to define, what is the budget for next year. So for that, category managers would reach out to the market, get responses from suppliers, and it takes almost a month, month and a half. Today, there are about 8, 9 agents. There is a BOM decomposition agent, there is an index mapping agent. So we have what we call as cost drivers. Now all of us would have certain index based subscriptions which you may have. So it's not just cost drivers, but anything else you can use. But it can link to those indices. It can come up with forecasts for the next 3 months, 12 months. And then it runs that autonomously almost every week, saying, this is how the forecast is for the near future, right? So price forecasting, which used to take a lot of manual effort for a lot of CPOs here in the room, can pretty much be real time with these agents. Now it depends on the quality of data, of course, but then there is a certain, where do we start is definitely there. Another use case of this, a quick one. Sorry, I think this just stopped responding to me. Okay. 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 So the last example is an autonomous sourcing engine. I was talking about it before, but I have $1 billion worth of portfolio, which is predominantly in tail. I'm talking about direct materials. This is a live case example which we have, with over 40 plus buyers who are running this on an ongoing basis, right? What these agents do, there are about 14, 15 agents in this. Very interesting solution over here. Again, you all can build something similar. It's not a big deal today. We have a contracts expiry calendar for about 3,000 odd contracts. There is an expiry calendar. So before the expiry of a particular calendar of a particular material, 90 days before, the agent triggers a note back to the buyer saying, I need to issue an RFP because this pricing is coming up for renewal. If the buyer says okay, there are some agents which run in the background. It could be a currency fluctuation index agent. It could be a should cost modeling agent. It could be a tariff agent, so to say, which corrects that yesterday you were paying, say, 1,000 rupees per, pound or whatever price. The forecasted price could be 990 or 1,010, right? Just sets the benchmark for next 1 year. And then it automatically creates an RFP package without human intervention, sends it to the buyer, sends it to the supplier. The supplier responds back via email today. There are 2 rounds of negotiations happening. And because there is should cost modeling, there is market index, market intel agent which is there, it sends a very humanly message to the supplier, right, in a very human tone, saying, please provide your pricing. The supplier responds back. I can negotiate back as if I'm a supplier, as if I'm a buyer, saying, these are the 3, 4 things. I can show you an example maybe later in the booth. And then it takes into context what the supplier is responding back and gives back a very, very validated response. Here the thought, what we had was every supplier is different. So the tone of negotiation should be different. With a strategic supplier, I cannot be pushy, versus with a bottleneck supplier, I can be pushy. So we've defined the flow in such a way that every supplier, there is a tailored response. What it has done is it has reduced or improved my efficiency of my team by about 25% today. So in tail materials, imagine already a 20 to 25% efficiency improvement is a huge thing, where even before it hits a buyer, first 2 rounds of negotiations are done. I know what is the issue with the supplier. Supplier is not willing to reduce the price. Supplier is not willing to look at the indices which I have. Supplier is not willing to listen to my market story. It gives me all of it so that the buyer can just pick up the call and negotiate with the supplier. And there are cases about almost 10% of the cases where it automatically gets closed. So even before the buyer touches, there are some contracts which are going up for closure. So this is a very interesting use case, again, for all of us to look at. So that's the end of it.